What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. Of course, the one weekend I am away, the Red Sox dropped their biggest prospect news probably of the year. If you have not heard yet, Triston Casas was called up for yesterday's game to finish out the Red Sox series, and Bobby Dahlbeck was sent down to AAA. And what I was going to do is I was going to make a video when I got home last night, but then I realized something. Not only did the Red Sox sweep the 4-game series against the truly terrible Texas Rangers, but a lot of the reason why they ended up sweeping that series was because of prospect type players like Triston Casas. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about everything that happened in this Rangers series, the good, the bad, the ugly, but we're going to focus on what impact these rookies are having on this 2022 Red Sox club, and we're going to talk about what the future of this Red Sox team may look like based on what we've seen so far from these kids. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps out a ton, would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to start with the elephant in the room, Triston Casas. Now, Triston Casas, like I said in the intro, was called up to the major league level during this series, and Alex Cora actually said that he's probably going to be our starting first baseman from here on out. That probably means that Eric Hosmer is gone for the rest of the year, but at the same time too, this means that Triston Casas is our starting first baseman going forward. In his major league debut, it was pretty good. He had a single, he had a couple of great defensive plays, but if we're being totally honest here, I don't think this debut was totally about the performance on the field. What this debut was about to me, and I think to a lot of Red Sox fans, was it represented a plan, a future for the Boston Red Sox, especially at a position where we just simply have not had a real true plan there for quite a while between Bob and everything that happened with him and Travis Shaw and all that stuff. So to see Triston Casas kind of take over that position and be like, hey, this is probably our guy for the next couple of years, depending on how things work out, felt really, really good. And speaking of that, Conor Wong was also a huge factor in this series as well. He had his first major league home run, and it was an absolute missile over the Green Monster and out of Fenway Park. He has been on an absolute tear in the minor leagues, and he continues to bring it up to the major leagues. If he found something in his swing consistently hit like this for the Boston Red Sox, obviously not at this level, he's been absolutely insane. I think that's 10 home runs in 17 games. I'm talking like above average hitting and pretty decent defense behind the dish. We could genuinely have a future for the Red Sox in that catching position. We all love Christian Vasquez, but in terms of the Boston Red Sox, they really didn't have a plan for the future of that catching position. So to see Conor Wong kind of elevate his game offensively and continue to put in the work defensively at the major league level is a really, really good sign for the future of the catching position. But it wasn't just these new guys, these rookies that had an impact on this Red Sox team that got me excited about the future. Trevor Story had a huge series as well with his own pimp job, a 3-run shot in the last game of this series. He was making spectacular jumping plays. He was turning singles into doubles. He was doing what Trevor Story was brought here to do that we have been missing kind of all year. He would always have huge hits for us. It seemed like every hit he had truly matters at the beginning of the year, but his contact was so down it felt like that wasn't happening enough. Now we're starting to see the contact, the other side of Trevor Story, the athletic, the true baseball player side of Trevor Story, not just the power, and that has been a ton of fun to watch. I'm really glad we got this guy shirt up for a couple more years. After that, we've got Xander Bogaerts, because of course, right, the Red Sox are starting to win, they're starting to play well. Obviously, the captain is at the forefront of that. He now has a 9-game hit streak after a very fantastic Texas Rangers series, but what's more impressive in that 9-game stretch is that every single game has been a multi-hit game. That has only happened a few times, and Xander Bogaerts is now in a pretty elusive club. It has been an absolutely insane run for Xander Bogaerts. It feels so good to get our captain back. I was so sick of the Xander slander. I'm going to say that every single time because Xander right now is going through and he is pointing to every single person who said Xander was done. Xander was washed up. This is Xander's last year. Get rid of him. Opt-in loser. All that stuff. He's pointing at every single one of you guys and he's saying, no, I'm here to play. And of course, Rafael Devers is back. I think we kind of all expected this, but Rafael Devers truly came back in this Texas Rangers series. He had a bunch of doubles, a bunch of RBIs, a bunch of hits. No home runs though, but he's still hitting the ball really, really well and to all parts of the field. Again, this was not a surprise. I think we all figured he would come out of it at some point, but obviously it's good to see that it's not going to last for the rest of the season and stuff like that. So welcome back Rafael Devers, welcome back Xander Bogaerts, welcome back Trevor Story. Add that on top of all the prospects that we've been calling up that have been playing pretty well, and we got ourselves a future here, folks. For the first time this year, we've been talking about consistently how the Red Sox don't seem to have a plan, how they don't don't seem to have any bright spots in our future. But looking at this team right now, you're looking at an infield. Besides, the only one who's uncertain going into at least 2023 is Xander Bogaerts. Everyone else kind of shored up. That's going to be our infield for a while, which is very cool to see. The offense was firing on all cylinders for the first time in a very long time, and it felt really good to see. I don't really care, to be honest with you, that it's against the Texas Rangers, a really bad pitching staff. We have been losing to bad pitching staffs all year, so to see the Red Sox come in and truly show that they are a better team than the Texas Rangers, who, by the way, are only one position behind you in the standings, and truly decimate them in our own home, felt super good. I don't care if they are a losing record team or a team that's going to win 110 games. Anyways, let's talk about the pitching side of the ball as well, because we felt the impact of some of these rookies and some of these future stars on that side of the ball as well. I know I say this a lot when it comes to Brayan Bello's start, but this truly was his best start of the year. And the reason I say that is because it had people who were questioning whether or not Bello was either brought up too early or didn't have the stuff or wasn't a true starting pitcher, to kind of sit back and go, maybe he is, because Bello came out and he went 6 innings. He only allowed 3 hits, struck out 5, and allowed 0 runs. This was a true major league pitcher start. And to be honest with you, I think the only reason he didn't go any further was because they wanted to make sure he was okay, and they're still kind of stretching him out to go longer into games. But either way, he looked absolutely fantastic, and this is something to get super excited about. I think Brayan Bello has the potential to be an ace in the future, so to see him kind of evolving super quickly, and the fact that that's probably going to happen for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years minimum with this team is an extremely exciting thing to see. As for the other couple pitchers in this series, Pivetta and Winkowski are the guys who are going to be with this team for a while, and both of them had a really great outing. Granted, again, it's against the Texas Rangers, so obviously Pivetta is going to do good. It's not against an AL East team. Winkowski, who's been struggling a lot, had a really great outing himself, and that's a good sign to see. I'm still not fully convinced that Winkowski is going to be something special at the major league level. I more so am now seeing him as a long relief pitcher, but to see him do well in a major league start felt good, especially because some of our guys had gone down. Cutter Crawford could be a pretty decently big part of this rotation going forward, especially in that 4 or 5 spot in this rotation. Got injured. Winkowski stepped up and did his job. So shout out to the starting pitchers in this series. The bullpen, well, it was pretty good. I mean, again, it's the Texas Rangers, so you're gonna be pretty decent against a pretty bad team. But again, we've seen them struggle against bad teams, so this was a good start. Whitlock actually had a little bit of a rocky road in this series, and that's kind of been the trend a little bit with Garrett Whitlock. So hopefully that gets put back onto the right track. But if you want to talk about a guy who's going to be a huge impact for the future of the Boston Red Sox, Garrett Whitlock is that guy. So I'm hoping he turns that around pretty quickly, but I think he will. He's too talented to not. Zach Kelly had a little bit of a rough outing, but he was about to become a father, so we're going to let that slide. I still think his stuff is nasty, and I also think that he's going to be a decent part of this bullpen as well. All in all, during this series, the future of the Red Sox pitching was kind of on full display. We saw a ton of guys who are going to be on this team in 2023 and beyond. Some of them shined through, others were kind of dull, but still, it was cool to see all of this sort of accumulation of these future pieces of this Red Sox team. All in all, that's what I was most excited about in this series. Obviously, winning 4 games in a row is fantastic, of course, but being able to see the fact that, hey, maybe there really is some hope for the future of the Boston Red Sox in this series was even more exciting to me. We take a look at 2023 all the time and say, what are we going to do here, here, and here? But we never really take a look at it and say, hey, this team could look really good because we're good here, here, and here, right? Talk about third base, second base, first base, hopefully shortstop, right? You look at Doogie, who's been on fire in left field. You talk about Conor Wong coming up. All these sort of pieces that we forget are solidified on this team sometimes. And it feels good to have that on full display and have those bright spots for the future for everyone to see. Again, obviously, 5-game winning streak in a row is also nice on top of that too. And hey, let's go on a 10-15 game winning streak, huh? Who says no? Who says no? Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of all this? What do you guys think of all these Red Sox moves? What do you guys think of all these future stars kind of showing up and showing you what they got? Let me know what you think of this series in general and all your thoughts on the Red Sox down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, like I said at the beginning, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video. Like I said at the beginning, helps out a lot, would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.